Hi Bruna, nice to see your animations. Regarding where to post them, yeah, it's fine. You can post them this one in the beginners, but from now on, I think you can start posting in the body mechanics channel. Yeah, so let's have a look. Okay. Yeah, it's looking really nice. Um, the fluidity, the overlap on the feet, is looking really nice. The only thing though is that I feel the anticipation that you have and the jump that it happens, that the character does, is not matching too well. Like, is a big anticipation, but I feel the jump is quite slow for the quite slow. It should be faster. So let's start from the beginning and let's have a look. Okay. So the first thing is when the anticipation, great. The only thing is, you see here, he started to squash on the first frame, but I would keep the shape on the first frame exactly the same. Maybe even would be the opposite, would start to shape like an oval as he's moving down, as the character is moving down. But I would literally keep it the same shape, and as he starts to slow down the movement down is when the character starts to flatten out and squash the shape. So because right now the inertia is going down, so there's no reason for the character to be squashing here. So I would have the squash frames here squashing, here squashing. See here you have the character starts to go out from the squash, but actually if you check it, he stops the movement down in this frame. So technically you want to have the squash overlapped as well. So if the character stops the movement, you want the squash to keep happening 1 or 2 frames after the inertia is stopped. So it's to create that overlap in the squash as well, not at the same time. So the character is moving down, squash, squash. So this frame would be the extreme, the most squash frame. And here it started to change. Great. Here the only thing is, see how you start to raise the heels here from the first frames, and it doesn't feel natural. I think for the first frames he should have the foot completely planted, like literally flat on the ground, and only the last frames when he literally has to get into his toes is when you raise the heels. But for the first frames, the feet should be flat on the ground. Okay. Yeah, that's what I kind of draw here, like keep the feet flat on the ground, and only the last frames is when you here this frame you start to lift the heel just a tiny bit, and then you lift the heels completely in this frame. Another thing is, if you check the spacing, great, the spacing of the top of the character is increasing, great, and then boom. But you see the spacing from these 2 frames, but then after the jump, it should be a bit bigger, because right now you are building a lot of inertia, creating the spacing just before stop touching the ground. So the next frame just before the just after the jump should have pretty much the same spacing, if not more, to show that inertia of the jump. Because if you have the spacing right after the jump to decrease, it feels that somehow the jump is not as powerful as the inertia build. So maybe you have to zoom out a little bit so the character doesn't go above the frame. Because I think that's a bit of the issue as well, that you don't want to go too high up. So I would frame out so the character literally just make the character go at the extreme a bit higher, and so that would fix the spacing in between. Also, you would have to fix all the feet and stuff, but yeah, I would make this frame maybe a bit higher so we can feel the push, we can feel the inertia a bit better. And then the slowing going up is perfect. I really like how the character eases in and goes back down. It's great. Maybe mm, maybe if you check this knee, as I wrote here, see, this knee feels like a pop. Maybe in this frame you could start to bend the leg a little bit so we don't have that much of a difference from one frame to another, because this feels like a pop. And then also I would have also the same kind of easing and back of the ball. Check the knee, and I would like to see this knee is going up and then it's going down on the next frame. So maybe this frame, don't move it that much down, keep it pretty much on the same place, so we have a bit more of a easing on the knee, so it's not just moving up and down too quick. So a bit, just a tiny bit. Don't, in this frame, maybe keep the feet a bit higher up, so we have that easing and down. Okay, great. I really like how you make one foot reach the floor before the other one. Just another thing, when as he's jumping, this frame I think is the contact frame, but as he's jumping, it's falling down with a lot of inertia. You would want to have the next frame, the foot completely flat on the ground, so you can feel the inertia, the hits, how he's hitting the floor. Because right now, if you have the guy falling down, and you have so many frames, like 4 frames, where the foot finishes to roll and go flat on the ground, it takes out a lot of inertia, a lot of power to the impact. So yeah, I would make the foot flat on the ground right the next frame after the contact pose. Same here. See here, I think in this frame you can, I think it's a contact pose, but if it's not the contact pose, I would make it the contact pose, and then the next frame the foot flat on the ground, so we feel the boom, the inertia, the character hitting the ground a bit more strong, a bit stronger. Okay, and then, to be honest, normally I would say that this is a bit too much, that it feels like it's a bit of a pop, it's a bit forced. But to be honest, I really like how you finished the animation, the little squash on the torso, and the shaking on the knees at the end, and the overlap you created. So to be honest, I think it's perfect. The end, it creates a bit more of a cartoony feel to the animation, but it's really well done. So I would keep it like that. I really like it. So yeah, that's all for this one. So really great job. Just a matter of polishing a couple of things. And then the next one, the next one is the step to the side. Okay. Great. So this is a great great animation. I like the contrast, the step to the side, really well done. The weight is quite nice as well. I really like the deep down on the hips and stuff. So I'm gonna start to analyze it now. Okay, you have the anticipation. See, this is great. This first frames is great. Although here you see how the torso, the ball starts to move to the right already. So I would keep the ball moving to the left for the anticipation, because here's the thing. When you lift up one foot, you need to have the weight over the other leg, because right now you haven't shifted enough of the weight to this over this leg to have the ability to lift this foot. So you need to move way more the character's body over the planted leg to be able to lift this foot. So I would keep moving the body to the left. I would keep moving the body to the left in this frame. In this frame, see, actually you have it here as well. So I think it's just a matter of polishing something odd happening in this frame. So just keep moving it to the left, moving it to the left, and maybe keep this foot planted, this frame, don't lift it yet, and start to lift it on the frame 6th, just one frame later. So you could tell better that he's transferred the weight over the other leg. Okay. Great pose here, really like it. Okay, same thing. When here, okay, so here I would have the contact pose. I don't know if it's it or not, but here would have the contact pose, and this frame, the foot would be planted already, because he's already lifting this foot. He doesn't have any weight on this foot already, so this foot has to be already supporting all the weight of the character. So in this frame, I would have the foot completely flat on the ground. Because right now it's too slow. See, too many frames for the foot to go flat on the ground. So yeah, I would adjust that as well. Great. The weight here, as after the foot planted, the hips going up. Great. The rotation on the hips. Great. Just one thing. See how the character, the animation ends, but after he plants this foot, there is no rotation going on the hips, and I would adjust that, making so he's planting this foot, therefore the hips start rotating over this side up. Great, as you have it, great, but I would make it a bit more extreme, more than you have it now. That way, just before he's gonna plant this foot, the hips, the body is a bit tilted this way, so a bit extra rotation this way. That way, when just right after he plants this foot, he can straighten out. So we would, as the body is rotated this way and he plants this foot, the next frames this way, this as he's planting half of his weight over this leg is gonna push the hips up and it's gonna even out the character's body. But for that you need to have it a bit tilted the frames before, and that's because you put the weight over this leg first. So this pushes the hips this way up, make it a bit more extreme so you get this kind of angle, and so right after planting this leg pushes the hips up this way, and so evening out and at the end of the animation. I hope that was clear. Other than that, great animation. I really like the fluidity. Maybe another thing that I would do is keep it moving a bit more to the right, these frames. So as he plants this foot, you could make the settle moving the character's body. So as he plants his foot and the rotation happens this way on the torso, you could also have it the frames before a bit extra to the right, so the last frames not only settles leveling out, but also moving a bit to the left. So it's not, because right now he has reached the final point, like he's staying on this place until the end, but I'm saying have it a bit more to the right. So the last frames, you can make it go to the left over the last leg that is gonna plant, which is this one. Okay, so that was it for this feedback. Great job. Keep doing the hard work, and until the next animation.